Hey guys, how are you? So this week we are going to work on a pre-Halloween drawing. Okay, the kids in my in-person class that we're having at the park, they are very excited about Halloween coming up, and they wanted to do a Halloween drawing. So let me show you what I got here. Okay, so we're gonna draw this today. It looks like it might be a little bit complicated, but it's really not when you break it down into all the little steps. Okay, we're going to draw the house, the tree, some stones, some gravestones, and the moon. And I will help you break that down into little steps. And if there's anything else that you want to draw or be creative with it, feel free to go right ahead, okay? So for this assignment, we need a pencil and an eraser, a black sharpie or a marker, and your chalk pastels. Okay, so go get that and a sheet of paper, and we'll get started. Okay guys, so the very first thing that we're going to do is get out our pencils and sketch out our drawing. Okay, the very first thing that I want you to do is draw basically where our ground line is going to be. Okay, I would make it a little bit wavy, maybe 2 or 3 inches above the bottom of your piece of paper. Okay, and then we're actually going to work on our house next. And the house, even though it looks complicated, really isn't. It's just a bunch of shapes. Okay, we're going to start with kind of a tower, which is going to be a long rectangle. And because this is kind of a fun, silly drawing, it doesn't need to be perfect at all. In fact, if your shapes are a little bit off or a little bit crooked or sideways, that might actually even add to it, okay? So I'm going to just start with a rectangle. And then for this shape on my roof here, I'm going to go out just a little bit on the left and on the right. And I'm going to, I'll make another line about right here. And do diagonal lines to connect the two. Okay? Then I have this weird little shape up here. I don't know what that is. I really don't. You can put whatever you want to on the top of yours. I was just kind of playing around with different shapes and looking at different spooky houses. And that was something that I came up with, okay? So that is the basic shape for the main part of our building. Then we're going to draw another rectangle over here to the side. It needs to still be below our grass line though. So I'm going to make it about right here. It's going to come out like that. And it's going to be shorter than our other rectangle. So something like that. Okay. And then we're going to basically have a kind of like a curved line for our roof. Okay. And on this side, we're going to try to line up the bottom part so that it's the same. We're going to run it right off the page like that. And then where this roof line is, we're going to try to continue that over like that. And about where this line is, we're going to come over here and draw another line. Okay? So that is the basic structure of our house. You can put in however many windows or doors or whatever else you want to do. For my particular drawing, I put 2 windows on this side, so it's a rectangle. And then I just put basically like a plus sign in the middle, like that, to divide the window panes. So I have 2 rectangles on this side. And then over here, see, I did rectangle windows on the bottom. One there and one here. And then on the next row, I did a rectangle window but I did a half circle on top. And then I made almost like a V in the center. And I'll do that on this next one as well. Now again, if you guys have a different idea for something that you want to do, or a different style of windows or whatever, that's totally fine. Do whatever you have in your imaginations. If you want to do something else, that's fine. Okay, so those are my windows. Let's see. I think I'm going to do my door next. I did double doors, so we have kind of almost more of a square, and a line down the middle to turn it into 2 doors. I had little round doorknobs, and I decided to put a window inside of each of my doors. So again, that's just a rectangle with a little plus sign. And then I decided to put a big half circle window over top, again with a kind of a V in the middle of it. My next set of windows, I did a straight line for the bottom, and then I actually did 3 kind of curved windows. Like that. And then I put plus signs in those. So I can take that all the way over and go like that. Okay, and then for this section here, we have a 3rd floor. And on that one, I just did 2 of these round windows. 1 and 2. Okay. Let's see, I've also put a dormer. It's basically a window that's in your attic. You don't have to put one there, but let me show you how, just in case you want to. I made a rectangle, and then inside of that, I put another smaller rectangle with a plus sign. And then I put basically a triangle top on it, like that. Okay, and then just for some ornamentation, like some detail work, I put little kind of like triangles down here. Actually, you could probably do it on this side too. I think that would be kind of fun. Okay, and then for the roofing for this structure here, I did little kind of half circles. It almost looks a little bit like fins on a fish, or like scales, not fins, on a fish. And I just did little, almost like little U's or little half circles. But what I did was on the 2nd row, I have the point meet the center of the row above. So they're shifted just a little bit. And then I'll go all the way down to the bottom of the roof with that. Okay, so that's basically my house. If you want, you could put some stairs on the front. Just put 3 long rectangles for some stairs. And I also made like a little porch covering. You don't have to, but I just kind of made almost like a triangle roof, kind of. And then little support beam on the edge here. All right. Now the next thing that we're going to do is our moon. We're going to just sketch out a nice big full moon. Okay. Now you notice that as I'm sketching it, I'm realizing it's not quite round, so I'm adapting it as I go along. And I can erase any lines that I don't like. Remember that in the sketching phase, we don't want to draw too dark because we're just kind of figuring out where we want everything to go. Okay, now our next step is the tree. Now guys, the basic shape of a tree is kind of a bumpy, let's see, well, okay, it's going to be wider at the base. For this particular tree, I'm going to do this. It's going to be wider at the base, and it's going to be thinner at the top. And I'm not going to make my lines perfectly straight because I want it to be a little bit bumpy. Okay? And now that's going to be the very center of our tree. Now off of that, we're going to have branches that are going to be thinner than where the trunk is. So I'm going to go kind of like that. Maybe one over here. Maybe we have a real long one that goes in front of the moon. And they're going to get skinnier as they go towards the end, and they might even branch off like into a Y or a V. Okay. And then we can keep having smaller and smaller branches come off of our main branches. Okay, something like that. See, this one here might have a smaller branch coming off like that. And then just some squiggly, like little twigs. I'll have another one come up this way. And I'm going to have it branch off again like that. Turn it into 2 branches. And then I'll do some of these little smaller twigs coming down. Maybe I have one more come up like that. I don't know, just something like that. And you can play around with it. You can have more branches or less branches. Remember that it's not going to be perfect. Trees are weird, misshapen things, and they're going to have little bumps and stuff, and that's okay. All right. Let's see, next I'm going to do a couple bats. For our bat, we are going to basically go up for an ear, a little bit of a head, and then go up for an ear again. And go out like that for a wing, and out like that for a wing. Now for the bottom part, we're going to go down like that, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3, go back up 1, 2, and out like that. Okay, so I'll let you work on that for a minute and take a close look at the shape that I drew and just try to copy it, okay? I have 2 triangle ears, a straight line in between, curve and a curve, and then another curve and another curve, and that's about the same size as the line on top. And then underneath we go 1, 2, and then 3 goes down really long, and then back up 1 and 2, okay? And you can draw as many little bats as you want. For this particular drawing, I'm probably going to do maybe 2 more. And I might make them different sizes too. There's 1, 2. And actually this one I'm going to go up and out. Up and out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Maybe I'll do a real small one over here. Okay. Now I want to draw a little cat in my tree. You don't have to if you don't want to, if you really don't like cats, but I like cats. So I'm going to do 2 kind of curved lines. They're going to be closer together up at the top and further apart at the bottom. Then I'm going to draw a little kind of circle head with 2 triangle ears. And then over here, I'm just going to draw a little tail like that. Okay, and then our next step is to do some tombstones. So you can do all different kinds of shapes, whatever you want to do. I did a couple that were kind of rounded at the top. One of them had a cross on top. Other ones that you can do are just crosses. You can do like a thick cross. Over here I have kind of a Celtic cross, which is a little bit thicker, but it also has a circle that goes around it like that. Okay, whatever you want to do. And you know what? If the whole graveyard scene isn't your thing, leave it out altogether. Again, I'm mostly doing this because my students, this is what they specifically requested. So, everybody has their different things that they like. If this really isn't your thing, don't feel like you have to put a graveyard in it. Maybe you could just do a pumpkin patch if you don't want to do a graveyard. And I'm going to put a pumpkin here. So just sort of an oval with a rectangle stem. And then, see, a triangle eye, another triangle eye, an upside down triangle nose, and then you can just put a smile in it. If you want to, you could put a tooth or 2. Okay, so if you don't like the graveyard scene, you can just do a bunch of pumpkins if you want. That one's a jack-o'-lantern, but you could just do pumpkins. That would be fine. Okay, now I'm also going to make a path, and because it's further away back here than it is up here in the foreground, I'm going to have it a little bit skinnier back here and have it get wider as it comes towards the foreground. See how it's real skinny there, but real wide here? Okay, and I believe that is it for the basic drawing. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sharpie. You know what, I'm going to start with my thin Sharpie, my ultra fine point, just to do some of these, like these twiggy things that I have up here, these twiggy branches. And I might even change my branches a little bit as I go along if I see something that I feel should be changed. It's fine. And there's going to be more twigs at the end of each of these branches, like tiny little twigs where the leaves would go. You can put those in or not. Depends on how detailed you want to make it. Okay, now I'm going to change to a larger Sharpie. Okay, this one's just a little bit thicker, and I'm going to use this to color in my tree, my house, my cat, my bats. I'm probably not going to tape this whole thing, guys, because it's going to get a little bit boring watching me just color in this black marker. But here, let me show you the sample again. It's going to be this, the tree is going to be black, the cat, all of the bats you're going to color in, all of your stones or your pumpkins, your jack-o'-lantern, your path, and the house. Now the parts on the house that I did not color in with the Sharpie, I left all of the windows open. I did not color those in. I left my door open and also my little porch, as well as the stairs, this scalloped roof, and my little triangle ornamentation. Okay, so if you want, why don't you pause it right here on this screen, move this a little bit closer, pause it right here on this screen, and go ahead and color in everything that's black, okay? And I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'll come back to you when I'm all done, okay? So when you're all finished, hit play again. Okay guys, so here is my drawing with all of the marker or Sharpie colored in. A few things that I didn't mention specifically that you might not have noticed was that I did outline this ground line with the Sharpie, and also the outline of the moon, the scallops on the roof here, and also your stairs. So if you didn't do that already, go ahead and do that real quick. And then get your chalk pastels out and we'll start coloring this in. The first color that we're going to get is going to be kind of a medium color blue. So I'm going to use this color right here, okay? And I'm going to use the side. I'm going to go around the edge of my moon. And I'm not going to use a lot of pressure. It's okay if the paper kind of shows. It's okay if we go over our tree. Try not to cover the tree too much, but it's okay if we go over it. Okay, something kind of like that. Okay, now I want us to pick up a darker blue. Let's find the darkest blue that we have and put some of that. We're going to overlap a little bit with our lighter blue and then just go down a little bit further, not quite all the way down to the ground, but close. And over here, we'll fill in kind of like that, okay? And then the very last thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a good dark purple and put some of that in here. Again, overlap some of that blue a little bit and go right down to the ground line. Kind of like that. Okay. Now what I want us to do is I want you guys to grab a tissue. Okay, I didn't mention that earlier, so if you don't have one, go ahead and pause this and go grab a tissue or a napkin or a paper towel, just something that you can use to kind of blend and wipe off some of the chalk pastel. Okay, so if you need to, go ahead and pause this and then come right back. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this here, I'm just going to kind of wrap it over my finger, and I'm going to kind of just very lightly rub this in. I'm going to start closest to the moon, go around in a circle, and work my way out. Okay, I'm actually using a very light touch because I actually like to leave a little bit of the texture of the chalk pastel, but just enough to kind of fill in all of the white space and to kind of blend the colors together a little bit better. Okay, something kind of like that. I'm going to go ahead now and do my moon. So I'm going to grab a lighter shade of yellow and fill in my moon. I'm going to try to not go over top of my tree branch and my cat. Okay. And then I'm going to just find another spot on my tissue, kind of wrap it around my finger, and do the same thing. Just kind of rub it in so that it fills in all of the white spaces. And now for this, if you go over top of the tree or the cat, it's okay. If you have too much on the tree and you don't like it, you can always find another clean spot and just kind of rub it off. Okay. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is grab sort of a orangey color. Grab something kind of like that. And I'm going to do a bit of this foreground here. Remember, it's nighttime. And this is sort of like where our moon is shining, so I'm going to go between these stones. Maybe go down a little bit between the stones, but not like right behind the stones, because right behind the stones is going to be a shadow. And then maybe a little bit just along the edge of this path here. Okay. Maybe a little bit on this side of our path. Like that. And now I'm going to take our purple that we used in our sky, and this is going to be my shadow color. So I'm going to put this behind our stones and kind of in this space here behind our tree. And maybe over here around the pumpkin. I feel like he's kind of shadowed a little bit, maybe by that house. And over here. Okay, now I'm also choosing to do some of my house in this color. You don't have to. If you have a different color you want to use, go ahead. But I'm going to put some on this roof. And I'm also going to use it for my front doors and my front stairs. So now I'm going to be careful not to get it in my windows, because I still want the light to shine through my windows. But I'm going to do it on the door. I'm just using like the corner of my pastel. I'll go around these windows here. I'm also going to put it right here in this door frame. Oh, and you know what? Also these little triangle thingies right here. Just kind of go over it like that. If you get on the black, it's really okay because we can just wipe it off. Should do that too. Okay. So now I'm going to take my tissue again, and I'm going to blend some of that in. Then I'm going to blend this in, and I'm going to kind of blend these colors together too. orange and purple aren't colors that I normally would think about blending. But in this case, I think it works. And maybe start with your orange and move into your purple. Okay. Now I want to make mine look just a little bit darker. So let's see, I have this color here. It's not a black, although it does sort of look like it. It's a very dark gray, maybe a dark brown, but a very dark gray. And I'm going to use that to just kind of go over, just kind of lightly, if I can, some of this color that I've already put down. Maybe I want it on the stairs. You can choose where on the house you want it to go. It doesn't even have to really go on the house if you don't want it to. But I at least think that on the ground, it should just be a smidge darker. And really, actually, you could use it in part of the sky if you wanted to. If you feel like your sky should be a little bit darker. Maybe not right next to the moon, but maybe, away from the moon a little bit. Kind of like that. And remember that the moonlight is going to be shining out in a circle. So make sure that all of your colors go in a circle around the moon. Now I'm going to blend this in a little bit and see what this looks like. Okay, I think I like that. Let's see what this looks like down here. Yeah, I think I like that. And you can go back and forth and play with these different colors, with making it a little bit darker. And then maybe after you make it darker, you want to, have some of these colors stand out a little bit more. So you can just kind of go back and forth to your liking and play with these colors. I also use some of these colors on my tree to do kind of like a shadow and a highlight, shadow and highlight. So on the right side of the tree and kind of on these undersides of these branches, I put a little bit of purple. Just to give it a little bit of something. You can also blend this in with your finger. I don't know. You can kind of play around with different blending techniques if you want. Let me get some more of this yellow. Now I'd like to put a little bit of yellow on the side of the tree that kind of faces the moon. Just a little bit. It's just kind of like a highlight, like maybe the moon is shining on it. Just kind of like that. Okay. You could maybe do a little bit on the bats. Maybe even on the side of the building a little bit if you want. I would definitely do the inside of our little pumpkin here. And also our windows. Now you might want the windows to be a little bit more orangey. I'll leave that up to you, what exact shade you use. I'm using the yellow for now, but I might go back in and put a little bit of orange in. And I'm not going to worry about getting every single speck of white covered because I'll do that when I go back in with my blending tool, whichever it is that I'm using. And don't forget the little windows on your door too. Okay, so now I'm going to find another clean spot on my towel, and I'm going to get this yellow color in all the white. And now maybe you want to have a little bit of light like kind of shining on the building from the windows. I'll leave that up to you. If you feel like you have too much yellow and you want it to be a little bit darker, just find a clean spot on your paper towel or your napkin or your tissue and just wipe some of it away. I like to have a little bit, but not too much. Kind of like that. Now I'm going to just keep playing a little bit more. But you guys, maybe you're done. Maybe you've decided that yours looks exactly the way you want it to look. And that's fine. When you feel like it's good, that's when it's done. Just want to get a little bit more dark in here. And a little bit more color. So a little bit of that. Actually, maybe a little bit more of this dark blue that we had. And when I'm blending my colors, I'm always going to go from the lighter to the darker. So I'm going to start closest to the moon and work my way out. And same down here, I'm going to start with my lighter colors and move towards the dark. You know, and if you want them a little bit stronger, don't feel like you have to blend them. Okay, like I really like how this just kind of stands out. So I'm going to go in just one last time. And maybe put a little bit more purple here. A little bit more purple there. Just get a little bit more of these highlights on my bats. You could even put a little bit on the tops of these if you wanted to. Oops, I forgot this little window. There we go. I'm going to put just a smidge of yellow around here as well. Our last little touch. A little bit of moon glow in the sky. There we go. Okay, guys. Well, I hope that you like this assignment. I think it's kind of fun. A tiny bit on my little cat. So I hope you guys had fun. Here's our little Halloween drawing. If you guys have anything in particular that you want to do in our last couple of weeks here, let me know. Okay, we have a couple more sessions through the rest of October, and I'll have another session that I'll post up soon that'll go through November and December. But if there's anything that you want to do for the rest of October, let me know. I've got a couple other kids that are in my class too, so I'm asking them as well. They, I know, want to do a lot of kind of spooky Halloween themed things. So unless you guys say that you want to do something else, we'll probably do something along those lines. I'm not sure exactly what yet, But if there's anything in particular that you want to do right now, let me know, and I'll see what I can do, what I can work in, okay? Hope you guys have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye.